Have you ever watched a show or a movie that captivated you so much you felt the need to express your love for it in any way possible? Throughout my life, I can name a few, ranging from AMVs I made for Bleach and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, to edits I made of a Goofy movie and the Muppets. I'm sure there are plenty of shows, movies, and games you yourself want to praise from the rooftops. That's simply the power of good art. But when you really get down to it, fandoms are a weird and fascinating phenomenon. Think of it, almost anything in life there's bound to be a dedicated fandom surrounding it. Yet in recent years, the word fandom has become almost synonymous with cringe or obsessive. But the reality is, fandoms are the lifeblood of creative properties.
Yeah, and it was all organized by the fans, and that didn't mean that sci-fi weren't pissed off at us, but we said, look, it's really not us, it's the fans. And Bonnie Hammer picked up season 3. She was like, this has got to stop. I'm picking it. And picked up season 3.
Take my favorite franchise, the Muppets. To Disney, it's all but a forgotten relic of a bygone era. My friend who recently met Jocelyn Stevenson, previous writer for Fraggle Rock, mentioned that despite the franchise being on life support, it's the fans who keep Jim Henson's vision alive. But that raises an important question. Why do fandoms have such a negative reputation? Without them, many beloved series would just fade into obscurity. If you've been around my channel for long enough, you'll know that both Zach Hadel and VivziePop have massive fan bases. And yes, I know Michael Cusack also has a huge fan base as well, but even he himself acknowledges that Zach is the star of the show, what with his popularity with his animation and Oni plays. But despite Hazbin Hotel's fandom being much larger than Smiling Friends, it's VivziePop's fan base that is often seen as more insufferable. Why is that? Taking a look back in time, it's been about 5 years since Smiling Friends graced Adult Swim on that fateful April Fool's Day, bringing with it an incredibly electric fan base. Almost everybody from the internet was going nuts over this pilot, including VivziePop herself. You had fans of adult animation, Oni Plays viewers who insisted Zach would approve and disapprove of certain things, and of course, a smaller group of dedicated people that were fans of Michael Cusack. At first, it was a pretty chill community. Fans shared their thoughts on episodes, posted fan art, and engaged in pretty civil discussion. But things started to shift when adult animation fans and Zach Hadel fans started to argue over specific shippings and fan art made online. Despite Zach and Michael both being openly straight, Smiling Friends is filled with homoerotic humor. Charlie constantly flirts with other men and even has a gay porno on his continue watching list. We saw you there, Charlie. Naturally, fans picked up on this, and within months, Smiling Friends fans' spaces were flooded with gay fan art. Now, fan art is harmless, and even a healthy way for people to feel represented in media. And honestly, given the show's content, this reaction makes total sense. I mean, come on, you're telling me that every single one of these scenes with Charlie explicitly being incredibly gay doesn't mean he's at least a little bisexual? Either way, it doesn't matter. Fans are allowed to have fun with a character. They're allowed to headcanon. It's hurting nobody. And yet, this is where the first signs of a toxic fandom began to surface. Certain YouTubers started ranting about Smiling Friends having a quote-unquote problem. Their complaint? Fans were posting too much cringe. One YouTuber even went as far as to compare the enthusiastic fan engagement to the Bjork stalker. Yes, really.
People to have fun without y'all saying it's cringe or weird.
I fucking hate this argument, honestly. It reminds me of that cringe meme with the guy going, let people enjoy things. People can obviously enjoy things. I'm talking about over-obsessiveness to the point of just being weird. If you met the Bjork stalker, would you say he's allowed to enjoy what he likes, even though he was trying to fucking blow Bjork up? It's okay to do that, I guess, because we should just let people enjoy things.
God forbid you have any level of passion in your life for anything other than staring at a wall all day. This, combined with the subset of fans insisting that Zach was too cool and edgy to approve of such content, led to a period of turmoil within the fandom. But, as with most online drama, it eventually died down. The people trying to police fandom culture got ratioed, and ultimately, people within the fandom began to realize there's absolutely nothing wrong about being passionate about a show, as it just brings more attention to the show, more love, and potentially a new season. In other words, Pim and Charlie shippers, let your freak flag fly, as all of us would love more seasons of Smiling Friends. Because ultimately, there's nothing wrong about being passionate about a show you love. If it makes you happy, which was Zach and Mike Michael's goal, then more power to you, my friend. Of course, not all of Smiling Friends ships are created equal. Charlie and James. But that's another conversation for another time. But on the note of abusive shippings, Hazbin Hotel is massive. So massive that even if you haven't even watched it, you've probably seen clips or had a younger sibling obsessed with it. When combined with Hell of a Boss, its fandom is easily 10,000 times the size of Smiling Friends. Okay, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it still holds partially true. But with the size it has comes far more unhinged behavior. It's inevitable. While plenty of fans are reasonable, a significant portion, whether Vivzy wants to admit it or not, they're a majority children. And what do kids do best online? Bully and post cringe. Abusive ships, incestuous headcanons, bizarre interpretations of the show. Hazbin Hotel's community is full of it. What makes this even worse is that Vivzy actively encourages fan engagement for really bizarre ships. As to her, any level of conversation about the show is totally healthy. This is the main difference between Smiling Friends and Hazbin Hotel, and is likely why it's so inflamed with weirdos. Unlike Zach and Michael, who distance themselves from the fandom discourse, Vivzy heavily leans into it. And while that isn't inherently a bad thing, it does mean that the fandom has a habit of eating itself alive. About 90% of the discourse online within the Hazbin Hotel community is typically people shitting on each other for whatever opinion they have on the show. Because again, this is a majority of a teenage audience. Do you think they act rational when discussing things that they care passionately about? Absolutely not. It's reached the point in which most people don't even know what Hazbin Hotel is about. They just know that the fan base is miserable. Forget that the show is actually an indie darling and has very, very good songs in it. The show is ruined by its fan base, unfortunately. What it really comes down to is fandoms are vital to keeping a show or movie relevant long after its initial run. The real issue lies in how these fandoms behave. Where Zach and Michael try to avoid fueling fandom wars, Vivzy interacts with their fan base in a way that exacerbates its chaotic nature. But that doesn't mean that Hazbin Hotel's fandom is uniquely bad. It's just a numbers game. More fans mean a higher chance of encountering weird and toxic behavior. Sometimes they can level out like the Smiling Friends fandom, but that's not every single fandom, unfortunately. Even Smiling Friends faces a similar issue as it rose in popularity. At the end of the day, both fandoms are unhinged in their own ways. But as long as you're not harassing others or engaging in disturbing shipping behavior, you're cool in my books. I just hope that Smiling Friends never gets too big that it ends up filled with children like Hazbin Hotel. Because as much as people blame Vivzy for her fandom's chaos, the reality is simple. Kids are the chaos. Don't let some jackass tell you you can't like Charlie or Pim and say that you're comfort characters online. Because almost certainly, Zach and Michael would be happy that you enjoy their show with any level of passion. Always remember, guys, to be cringe is to be free. Take it easy, guys. See you next week.